How did the Soviet economic system contribute to economic stagnation? Have you ever wondered how a system designed to provide for everyone could lead to such economic troubles? The Soviet economic system was built on central planning, where the state made all major economic decisions. This was a key part of communist theory, aiming to distribute resources based on societal needs rather than market forces. Initially, this approach allowed the Soviet Union to achieve rapid industrial growth, especially in heavy industry and military sectors. However, over time, it created several problems that led to economic stagnation. One major issue was inefficiency in resource allocation. Central planners often struggled to predict what consumers actually needed. This resulted in shortages of essential goods and surpluses of unwanted products. Long lines for basic items became a common sight. Without market signals like prices reflecting supply and demand, factories and farms had little motivation to improve quality or efficiency. Another contributing factor was the lack of competition and innovation. In a market economy, businesses compete to attract customers and improve their products. However, in the Soviet system, state-owned enterprises faced no such pressure. Workers and managers received fixed wages, regardless of their performance. This reduced motivation to work harder or come up with new ideas, leading to stagnation in productivity and technological advancement. Bureaucratic inertia also played a role. Decision-making was slow and inflexible, requiring multiple layers of government approval for even minor changes. This made it tough to adapt to new challenges or opportunities, such as shifts in global markets or advances in technology. Moreover, the Soviet system prioritized heavy industry and military production over consumer goods. As a result, ordinary citizens had limited access to quality products and a lower standard of living compared to those in Western countries. Over time, dissatisfaction grew as people saw their hopes for a better life going unmet. External shocks, like the drop in global oil prices during the 1980s, further revealed the weaknesses of the Soviet economic model. The economy relied heavily on energy exports for revenue. When oil prices fell, the economy was pushed into crisis. From the perspective of communism, the Soviet experience is sometimes seen as a failure of implementation rather than the ideology itself. Supporters argue that external pressures and bureaucratic corruption contributed to stagnation. Critics, however, point to the practical difficulties of central planning and the lack of incentives as fundamental flaws in the system. In summary, the Soviet economic system contributed to stagnation through inefficiency, lack of innovation, bureaucratic inflexibility, and a focus on heavy industry at the expense of consumer needs. These factors, along with external economic shocks, led to a decline in living standards and ultimately weakened the global influence of communism as represented by the Soviet Union. Understanding these challenges helps clarify why the Soviet economy struggled and connects to broader discussions about the decline of global communism.